Good morning and welcome to Maryland Today. My name is Jeff St. Pierre and joining me is Nina Heck. She's the Director of Counseling and Client Services for Consumer Credit Counseling Services of Maryland and Delaware. Nina, always a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming by.
And thank you, Jeff, for having me once again.
Of course. Like I said, it's a pleasure. Let's talk about the last year or so. We've heard about this a few times here. Data breaches at companies. Home Depot comes to mind. Target also. They've been making headlines. And that's not really surprising because, these kind of things happen. They're on the rise. A lot of people are getting more involved in hacking and whatever. But data breaches did jump almost 24% between 2013 and 2014. Why are these becoming so common?
Well, Jeff, it's obvious that we do an awful lot of business online these days. And so between our shopping, our banking, our credit card statements, and things that we're working through on the internet, we're putting a lot of information into a space that other people are just dying to get a hold of. So there's obviously a gain if someone can come in and breach that information and be able to use our personal information to their gain. I looked at some statistics in Home Depot, for example. There were over 56 million consumer breaches in 2014. And I can personally say I was one of the ones at Target.
Really?
Yes. So I can speak to this because I've been there and done that.
So, Nina, how do these data breaches happen?
Well, there's a couple of ways. When you're shopping, you're going up to a cash register and you're putting your credit card through. You have no idea whether or not someone's already hacked into that system and is going to be able to obtain your information. Again, there would be no way to know that. And then always you have the option where there could be a dishonest employee that's, for their financial gain is trying to collect data that they're going to then be able to hopefully obtain a financial gain by selling or soliciting to someone. I know, again, looking at some of the statistics, the Department of Public Health and Human Services had over 1 million consumer breaches last year.
Really?
So it's not always just businesses. Yeah. You tend to think Target and Home Depot, but it's a lot of different places that we shop or we give information to. Colleges had several breaches last year as well. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, I know a big topic right around the holidays was the Sony Pictures breach. A lot of emails and a lot of other information got sent out through that as well. So yeah, it's not just big stores and things like that.
Exactly.
It's anywhere that your data could be stored could come into play here. Mm-hmm. So, Nina, dealing with outside entities like these companies, how can we prevent our personal information from being stolen?
So one of the ways that we want to start is to obviously know who we have our accounts with. Mm-hmm. It's very important that we know who the lender is, who our bank cards are with, and have a list of that. I always recommend that when you have credit cards or any type of loans or information that you've submitted for, when you receive information back from them, keep that information in a secured, locked place. It's got the card information on it. It'll have phone numbers that in the event something happens to your account, the places you need to notify if something does happen. So that's very good information to store somewhere that you personally know and that no one knows where it is. Some of the other things would be to review your bank statements and your credit card statements. I am a big person that reconciles my bank statement. My kids laugh at me. They kind of open theirs and, there's the balance and here's the new balance. Looks good to me.
Yeah.
But so many times people have been breached with this because it may just be small little, charges on there that if you were somebody who did a cursory glance of your bank statement or your credit card statement, you may not pick up because it may be very small. And what they're doing is working into getting comfortable with your information. And then thus the breach begins and your information gets out there.
I had something like that happen to me. It was very small. It was about $5 here, $5 there. A few years back when I moved, somehow my information got out there. And I'm glad I caught it. But I'm the same way. I look at things and go, that looks right. That's about where it should be right now. But I just happened to see, I'm like, I didn't spend $5 on a book club. What is that all about? And then that's where I caught on.
And they count on that. We're all busy. And then so, this really works into all of our busy schedules that we're not going to pay attention. So it's an ideal setup.
And then I got the wonderful package from the book club of all the Dr. Seuss books that said to Mrs. St. Pierre and her family. And I was like, when did I get married? What are we talking about here? So that's a further sign of being caught. Anyway, I digress. So we do a lot of shopping at home, too. This doesn't just involve going to stores and using your credit cards and your information. How can we avoid personal data breaches at our home?
So one of the things is it's very important, and they've had a lot of information about this recently with your passwords. they needn't have, you don't want to have any information like your social security number, any part of that. You don't want to be using like your names. You want information that someone else is not going to be able to pick up on you. So using some letters, mixing it up with some numbers and some different icon symbols, that will allow you to have hopefully a password that someone else is not going to be able to think of and break into your information. The other thing with having our laptops and computers at home, you want to make sure that your system has the proper protection. Install your antivirus software, your anti-spyware software, make sure the firewall's intact. So you want to set up a notice that alerts you that this is ready to expire so it doesn't expire and you're able to keep those softwares working on your PC.
So everybody loves a deal, and you see things popping up on your computer screen all the time. What about responding to some of these online retail offers that we see?
If it's someone that you've already dealt with business and you've had in the past, you're probably okay. You're looking for the lock icon on the system and that, it's got the proper protection on that. And if you've used it, I'm not as concerned. What concerns a lot of people that worry about these types of things is that in using that site, it may draw another site into your email and it may look like they're partnered with a business that you are doing business with and trying to get you to go into a link and go forward with something. So we caution people, if it's not something you're familiar with, don't go there.
Sure.
Take the address, put it in your browser, take a look at it, see if there's a customer service number, if you're really interested, and then contact them using the customer service number from your browser. Don't use these links and go forward with this information.
Now, we are becoming a very mobile society. I know myself, almost all of my online shopping is done from my phone or my tablet in some capacity. I don't really sit down behind a computer anymore to do stuff like that. What do we have to know to keep ourselves safe when using wireless connections?
The Wi-Fi, you want to make sure that when you're using a public Wi-Fi, that you're not using it for online purchases. So what's so very important is that you have only a secure wireless network, and that way the information back and forth is protected. What I'm alluding to would be like when you're sitting in hotels or you're at airports, different things, coffee shops. These are the places that you don't want to be just using their Wi-Fi connection and making purchases for things.
Well, we've talked a lot about how you can avoid being a victim of a data breach, but what happens when you do? What should we do first?
Okay, so this I can speak to because, as I said in the beginning, I was one of the target people. First, what happens, of course, you hear something that comes out that talks about a breach at a place that you've been at. What happened in my situation is my bank also knew of that and were already in the process of sending me something and canceling my card, canceling my passwords, and PIN numbers and everything on the account. So it's important that you know who you do business with and what they have in place when these types of things happen, because it's mind-boggling to get hit with that and realize, oh my gosh, I was there and it was my information. So you want to have that conversation. Check where your cards are at, what type of processes are in place so that you don't become a victim to this.
So Nina, tell me this. Before we move on, actually, I want to get some information out there to people about Consumer Credit Counseling Services of Maryland and Delaware, because if you do find yourself in a situation here, they can contact you guys. I'm sure there's plenty of information that you can offer. So can you give people a phone number or a website they can go to reach out to you?
Sure, Jeff. They can call us at 1-800-642-2227, and our website is cccs-inc.org.
Perfect. Well, let's talk about credit and debit cards. I know these things are a little bit different here. So what's the difference? What would you have to do if you used one or the other?
So if there's a breach and your credit card has been used, a major credit card, a MasterCard or Visa, there's a lot more protection in that you're only responsible for a charge up to $50. The debit card is totally different because the debit card obviously can be connected to your bank account. And what can happen is if you're using a debit and your PIN number, then an intruder is able to take this information, and without your knowledge, your bank account could be drained, and you're home thinking everything's fine, and you're still making out your bills and writing, checks to places. During that time, you actually have no money in your account because you're unaware of it. So we always push that if you're going to make purchases, it's better and wiser to use your major credit card versus your ATM debit card. So if either of these cards have been hacked, you want to make sure that the first thing you do is notify that bank or institution to make them aware that this has happened.
So you've been involved in a data breach. You've notified the institution, as you just suggested. You've called the company that's involved in it, too, to figure out what they're doing. You've called your bank. You've taken all these steps. What else can you do?
We suggest that they pull a copy of their credit report because your credit report's very telling in that the information on there should be yours. So you should be able to identify the items on there. So that would be one of the things that I would always suggest they do first. To get a copy of the report, look at the information, make sure that there's items on there that are yours and there's not something on there
things look familiar.
Exactly, that there's something that you know for a fact is not yours.
What's the best way to take a look at your credit reports?
We always recommend that you go through www.annualcreditreport.com, and by going through that website, you can access all three of the major credit reports, which is Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. So you have the option to either pull all three of your credit reports at that time. One of the suggestions I often suggest to consumers is maybe just pull your Equifax and wait 4 months later and pull your TransUnion and then wait 4 months later and pull your Experian and then look at the differences just to make sure that spreads out a calendar year so you can really take a look at things through the year instead of just at one time.
Sure, that makes perfect sense.
And it is free to the consumer, so that they need to know.
How about a fraud alert? I've seen that term thrown around out there. What's that?
That's really good. And of course, that leads into the reason that you're pulling a credit report to begin with. You can have a fraud alert placed on your credit report, especially if you've been someone who's a victim of a breach or a hacking through one of your accounts. You simply need to let the fraud department know at any one of the credit reporting agencies, and you don't have to reach all three of them by reaching one of them and placing this alert through them. They will in turn pass the information on to the other credit reporting agencies.
That's great.
And what this does is it prevents people just being able to access your account and open new accounts. You're going to be notified if someone's trying to do that.
And how long does a fraud alert remain active?
It stays on the account for 90 days, and at the end of 90 days, the option to renew is still there for you.
Are there any other measures that we should take to manage a data breach if we're involved in one?
They have what's called a security freeze, and this is a little stronger than a fraud alert in that it absolutely will not allow a person to access your information. Probably the downside of that is that if you happen to be applying for an apartment or maybe you've applied for a job and the employer is going to request a copy of your background information, including a credit report, you have to remember that you have this on there and you have to notify the credit reporting agency to allow these individuals to actually have access to your credit report. So unlike the fraud alert is going to let you know that somebody's trying to do something, this prevents it. It requires you notifying the credit report to allow that person to have access to your credit report.
So if you do find something bad on your credit report, what should you do?
Your credit report comes with a form that allows you to dispute information that's on there that's inaccurate or not yours. So you just have to be able to, again, review the bureau, identify the account that you know, in fact, is not yours. You're going to fill out that form. It'll ask you, what is it about that account that you're disputing? And you just need to be prepared to apply any documentation, written documentation that you have that states that you've had a breach or your account's been hacked into, and send this information back into the credit reporting agencies.
So going forward, what should we do?
Well, that's a good question, Jeff. One of the things, again, that I'm going to always stress is that you review your statements, look at the account information that's on there, know that it's your information, know that you recognize the vendors and different retail, and anything that's on there is stuff that you know is to be yours. And then, of course, always suggest and recommend that people pull their credit reports each and every year. It just helps to prevent these types of issues being out there and becoming out of control. And then finally, they can obviously contact an organization like us if they feel that they need help and they're not sure what to do. We have people in our organization that can help them work through these types of things.
Well, since you mentioned it, how can people get in touch with you?
Again, they can call us at 800-642-2227, and our website is www.cccs-inc.org. And we have information on our website that talks about identity theft. So there's a lot of good information on there about a lot of topics, but identity theft is there as well.
Well, Nina, we did cover a lot of ground today, just like always. Any final parting advice that you have for our listeners today?
We do offer workshops on this actual topic for identity theft. And if any of your listeners are interested, they can contact again through the 1-800-642-2227 or a local number of 410-747-2050 and ask for Lori Jankowski.
Nina Heck, Director of Counseling and Client Services at the Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware. I can never thank you enough for coming by. Always a lot of great information. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.